And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, a very, very popular game that came out from Japan is Machikoro. In Machikoro, you are essentially going to roll dice. You have cards in front of you with the numbers on those dice. If they match the cards you rolled, you get it. It's almost like a form of fast lottery. Like, oh, my number was called, I get some stuff. Well, Valeria is a game, Valeria Card Kingdoms, and it is unabashedly taking that idea from Machikoro and running with it. This is, if you've ever played Machikoro and you play Valeria, you'd be like, yeah, that's kind of the same game. If you've never played Machikoro, that's fine. This is a game in which you're going to be taking cards, rolling them, getting stuff, and using that to buy more cards so that you can get more stuff and eventually, get points in there somehow. This game here is one of the... it has some beautiful artwork. It's from Daily Magic, and they do some great production. Let's hope the game is good. Here it is. Each game of this is going to have a variable setup. So you're going to have 5 groups of monsters. The game comes with different groups of monsters. Each group will come from a different area. So for example, the Barons area. These are divider cards, so you can keep everything organized in the box here, all the different dividers, also the different resources and different icons and things. So you're going to have different groups of monsters, and you'll arrange them from the smallest monster to the largest, 5 random groups of monsters. You'll have 10 citizens. One that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a 9, 10, and 11, 12. And there's for most of these, there's 2 of each one in the box. You can pick which one you're going to use. And then there's a bunch of domain cards. It's just a big shuffling where you'll have 3 in each pile. 1 is face up. Each player is going to start with a peasant and a knight. The peasant is a 5. The knight is a 6. They also start with 2 gold and a magic. And the game begins. Now on your turn, you're going to roll the dice. So I roll these dice, and I look. I'm going to look for 3s, 6s, and 9s. So I look in front of me. Okay, well, I don't have 3s or 9s, but I do have a 6. So I look. When it's my turn, if a 6 is rolled, I get 1 military. If it's someone else's turn and a 6, and they rolled a 6, I would also get 1 military. I then have 2 actions that I can take. One of those actions can be taking another resource. So I can take gold, military power, or magic, and you can do the same action twice. I can fight an enemy, I can buy another citizen, or I can get a domain. Now to defeat an enemy, you simply need to pay the amount of military points it requires to defeat that enemy. So for example, to defeat this goblin would cost 1 military point. I have that, so I could do that. So let's say I did that for my first turn. I'm going to put this in front of me. At the end of the game, it's going to be worth 1 victory point. It also will give me 1 gold. So I do that. So I spend my military point. Now I have 3 gold in the magic. Now magic can be used for military or for gold, so it's better than both of them, except you can't use it by itself. But I have 4 here to spend, so I might decide to buy myself a rogue. A rogue has a cost of a 2+. What that means is it normally costs 2, but if I already have a rogue, then each additional rogue would cost me 3, then 4, then 5. So I put this in front of me. Now I have a 5, 6, and 7. So the next player goes, and they roll 2 dice, and they roll a 3 and a 5. So I look at my cards. Well, the 5 happens, and it was someone else's turn, so I get a coin. And I keep doing that and then it comes back to my turn, and I roll 2 4s, which is an 8, and that's nothing. I have no 4s, and I have no 8. So when there's nothing, I get a resource of my choice. So I'll take a magic. And you'll keep going, and pretty soon you'll have more and more numbers. So now if I have, let's say I have a 1, a 3, 2 6s, a 5, 2 6s, a 7, and an 11 and a 12. Well, I have a much bigger range. Let's roll the dice and see what happens. A 7 has been rolled. A 3, a 4, and a 7. So my 3 goes off on my turn. I can change 1 gold into 3 magic. And the 7 goes off, which is 2 military plus 2 magic. If this one had gone off on someone else's turn, I get 4. If it went off on my turn, I would get 2 times the number of cards that I have with this symbol on. So for every card with a hammer symbol on, I would get 2 gold for each one. The 1 card here, if it's rolled on my turn, gives me 3 magic. If it's rolled on someone else's turn, gives 1 magic. And so you'll see the different ones here. For example, the priestess. On my turn, 2 military and a magic. On someone else's turn, I can turn a magic into 3 military. So you can do that. You can defeat enemies. And as I said, the enemies get better as you go by. Like this dire bear here. It takes 5 to defeat him. Gives 3 victory points and then gives you 2 gold or 2 magic. But that goes all the way down till we get to the orc chieftain, who takes 14 to defeat but gives 6 victory points. And he also gives you 2 gold for every mountain creature that you have defeated thus far. The last thing is the domains down here. These are kind of random, but not only are they going to give you points at the end of the game, but they will also give you a special ability. Like whenever I gain a citizen, that's what the C means, I get a magic. To defeat this, to get this, I need to pay 9 gold, and I need to have these 2 citizens in front of me. So I need one with a hammer and one with the lockpick. Once I do that, then this is flipped over. Now we got rogues landing here. I immediately get a citizen from the center stack when I do this. This is a one-time thing. Here at the start of your action phase, I get a magic, the Monolith of Ostendar. This one here, during my roll phase, I can change 1 die to -1. You'll see this one's, I need 3 different people and 11 gold to get. So the more gold they cost, the more points and the better the special ability usually is. Here during my action phase, I ignore the extra coins I need to pay when buying a citizen. So if I already have 3 rogues, I can buy a 4th one for a simple cost of 2. Whenever a whole pile runs out, you're supposed to place an exhausted thing in it. So let's say the merchants are gone, we would place an exhausted one there. When there are exhausted cards on the table equal to twice the number of players, so let's say a 3-player game, and 6 of them were out, the game would be over. Over the course of the game, some cards may have given you victory points, so those will count towards your final total. The different domains and enemies that you've defeated will have victory points printed on them. And at the beginning of the game, each player gets 2 Duke cards, and you're going to pick one of these to keep, and they will also score you. So at the end of the game, you'll score 2 points times your monsters, 1 point times whatever that symbol is there, 1 point for every 4 gold, magic, or thing. So all your resources you'll divide by 4, and that's extra points that you will get. Or this guy here, he'll give me 3 points times every domain that I've taken, and 1 point for every 3 gold, magic, or military strength. So it's up to me which one of these I'll take at the beginning of the game. You keep these secret. You add together all your points, and whoever has the most points wins the game. Now Valeria, just that concept is one that I love. The first time I played Machikoro, the small little version from Japan, I was like, wow, this is simple. It's like Settlers of Catan without the board. And that's what this feels like, right? You get some cards and you roll them. This takes it and you roll the dice and you're looking at 3 numbers, which wasn't in Machikoro. You're looking, if I roll a 1 and a 5, I have the 1, the 5, and the 6. Unless, of course, you roll doubles, in which case you're only looking at 2 numbers. But still, the concept of how this works, as you roll each number and it activates them, and numbers rolled twice activate them twice, and if you get 3 of the same number. And so that's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of resources, and I'm telling you right now, I enjoyed my plays of Valeria. But this game for me is merely good, while I think it could have been great. And I'll tell you why. Love the artwork. Love the box. Setup is easy except for the monsters, and once you understand that, that's not hard too, but the rule book was like, you got to do this. You're like, why are we doing all this? But once you understand it, it's much easier to put up. But the whole thing just has this gorgeous, it's easy, you're involved, other people's turn. What numbers did you roll? Yeah, and you're getting stuff. The problem is, it's very liberal. It's kind of like when you went trick-or-treating. Most of the year, your parents let you have a few pieces of candy, and you're like, yeah. Trick-or-treating, many parents say, go hog wild, and you did, and it was glorious. And then you got sick. And that's a little bit of what Valeria makes me think of, because it's like, wow, I'm getting stuff, and stuff, give me more. Oh, and it comes to your turn, you're like, yeah, I have all this stuff. And that's great, but it does sap a little bit of the tension from the game. Once this game gets going, when it comes to my turn, I'm like, I can buy pretty much anything I want. Not always all the domains, but I can pretty much buy any character I want. I can defeat any of the enemies I want, and it leads to a small problem where sometimes I don't want to defeat an enemy because that will lead to a better one for you then to defeat and give you more points. But that's a minor gripe, and I think a lot of people will look at that and go, well, who cares? I just get stuff, and that's great. If you're one of those Eurogamers who likes to claw for everything, this is the exact opposite, okay? you are getting stuff. And let's not mince words here. The attacking someone, that's just another resource. You're essentially paying an attack resource to buy monsters. It's the same thing. And so you have that, and you got the magic, and you're like, why would I ever want the other ones? Magic can do everything. Well, you need at least one of the other ones. But after a while, you'll see people with big mounds of magic and a few coins and a few fighting attack things. And so the game rolls pretty quickly. It moves along at a pretty reasonable rate. The whole thing is just entertaining. It's fluff, though. You got to realize it's fluff. There's not a whole lot of deep strategy here. It's like, I won that game. Why did you win? Well, because I bought like 4 7s, and then 7 was rolled 8 times in a row. I couldn't help but win. Ooh, you were very wise. No, you're not going to feel that way afterwards. There's not a lot of, they're going to have different things out there, but I'm like, ooh, I'm going to try this strategy. I'm like, nah, let's buy this guy. I'll buy that guy. Woo, ding, 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 they went off. It's like going to a lottery, a casino, and just pulling slot machine and winning all the time. You just don't win a lot. So, taking that in mind and realizing that the game is super light, I do enjoy it. It's cool. There's expansion packs for it, like little foil packs to add like another group of monsters or another guy. I'm not a big fan of those. I don't really want to buy a few more cards at a time. I'd rather they just come out with a full-blown expansion and stick it in. But some people like that sort of thing. It's like buying a promo, essentially. But if you like Machikoro, you will probably like this. If you've never played Machikoro, you will still probably like this. If you want something that's much more thought-provoking, this isn't probably your cup of tea, but I think a lot of people are going to be having too much fun and eating too much candy to care.
Dice Tower Judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Mach die Tür zu!
There.